Good evening. Hello everyone and welcome to another round here of WL1 Weekend League. I'm JackTM53, your commentator as always for this championship, and I'm excited to bring you round 7 here at the magnificent Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit here at Mexico City. And boy, has the weather decided to appear for this 18-minute qualifying session that we have around this 4.3-kilometer circuit. Looks like it'll be intermediate tyres for the time being. Whether we'll have an update on the weather as we go along, we'll soon find out. But this will be a very fascinating battle to see how the drivers will cope with the demands of this tricky circuit, it has to be noted. And alongside that, with the current weather conditions, that too will also be very difficult for the drivers to navigate. We've got 15 drivers in at the moment, which is good to see. We've got a couple of cars already preparing themselves out on circuit. We've got Ben Roberts, the first car out. We've got the two Haas cars coming out of Cecchetto and Jolt. We've got one of the Alpines, it looks like, I want to say it's CT Pat, who's got himself out on circuit as well. So a couple of drivers aren't afraid at all to just get out there, get some laps set, and see how this session plays out. But before we do anything in terms of the lap times, I just want to briefly have a quick comment on the Drivers and Constructors Championship standings. I'll do the top 5 for both. Shortbread, after his double race victory last week, of course, that was around the Canada circuit, he is on 102 points in the championship. He's got GRL Viper, though, right behind him in the Red Bull on 92. It's looking like a 2-horse race for this season. Third is Jolt in the house on 64, with Ben Roberts in fourth on 53 points, and Umpa225 is fifth on 51 points. But then you look a little bit further down the field for the constructors. We have Mercedes on 112 with Red Bull on 103. So those two teams really fighting tooth and nail for this championship. You have the Williams team on 86, McLaren on 71, and Haas on 66 points. So it looks like a little bit more of a fight, I would say, for the constructors championship. So let's see how the drivers get on. That the race director is currently watching one of the Haas cars. I want to say that's Cecchetto at the moment. Got a couple of drivers onto their laps already. Just following Ben Roberts at the moment, going through Sector 1. Nice and clean so far from the McLaren, but you lot are watching Cecchetto, so let's comment on his lap then. Coming down towards turn 1 at about 205 miles an hour on the brakes. Very tentative, fourth gear for Cecchetto. Just takes his time, he eases the car over the curbs, third, then fourth, a little bit of a slide, but gets away with it. And then up through the gears as quickly as he can as he approaches the next couple of corners. This tight chicane, turns 4 and 5. Again, tentative on the brakes, takes it easy, takes a little bit more inside curb. Puts him offline slightly for turn 5, but not a problem. And then this double right-hander, very difficult to get right in the dry. And as you can see, as Cecchetto lights up the tyres, keeps it in a straight line. Not to worry, he carries on. Fifth gear for the left-hander. Again, you can see the car, he's fighting the back end, trying to keep it in a straight line. And very hesitant through the left, then the right at turns 10 and 11 as he comes through that left-hander. So far, he's just about surviving on this lap. Then he's into the stadium section. Again, watch your braking point. Cecchetto runs a little bit deep into the corner, but uses fourth gear nicely through there. Down to second for the left-hander at 13. His two corners, 14, 15, easy enough, and then through this final double corner, Paratalda, fourth gear, then fifth gear. He's going to set the second quickest time. It's a 1 minute 27.0 from the Haas driver. So we'll be interested to see how everybody else responds to that. Looking at the championship fight at the moment, you can see on the right-hand side, Viper and Shortbread, the two going for it. At the present moment, those two very close. Both have the same amount of podiums and pole positions, but Shortbread obviously has 3 wins to Viper's 1. So let's see how their laps go. Got to say, that's an impressive lap time from Shari in third in the Ferrari. I know some of you might think, well, there's loads of other cars to come, but that's the closest I've seen him to Joss all season long. He had a good pair of races last time out in Canada. He finished 7th, rather 8th he finished in the first race. That was a good bit of progress seen from Shari, and he's just making the steps I think needed to start pushing potentially more into those lower point scoring finishing positions. Whether he'll maintain that over the remaining rounds of this season, we'll see, as Shortbread does a 123.8 in the Mercedes. So good effort. Can Viper respond to that? He's got a few technical issues as Viper. Still reminiscent from last week in terms of his clutch. It's still affecting him. And that's not going to be easy to manage, especially if your technical problems are affecting you during the race. And it certainly affected him in last week's race at Canada. He got stuck in the pit lane thanks to his clutch not working. But he'll have a 50% race to contend with. So he'll only have to need to focus realistically on the start and when he needs to pit. But if his equipment is malfunctioning, it's never a good sign. Viper's lap looks quite tidy so far, using higher gears compared to Scetto. From what I can see at the moment. Keeps it nice and tight to the apex, and he goes fast. This is on a 123.822, 700ths of a second quicker than his main championship rival, that is Shortbread. Now, the good thing for everybody who's watching at the moment, and for those that are, you know, watching the drivers going around this circuit, they might be thinking, you know, can the drivers do more than one lap on the intermediate compound tyres? They can do. That's the good thing about the intermediates. They can have a couple of laps that you can repeatedly go round, as Ben Roberts appears with a 123.7, and that's what I was saying. The intermediates can last around here. You don't need to immediately pit after the first lap like you would normally do on a soft compound tyre. The intermediates have a lot more robust grip available to them. They're not a fast-wearing tyre. And that's demonstrated by Ben Roberts, who had a slow lap, recovered his ERS, and then went again. And now he's a 10th quicker almost than Viper, who is carrying on another lap at the moment. But that's a really good effort from Ben. A couple of yellow flags being pinged around the circuit, but it's more just because of slow cars rather than anybody who's come off. X90 G is trundling down the straight rather slowly, but he's back up to speed now. Tripping over my words there, trying to say speed. Natty G doesn't have any damage at all on his front wing. How about Night Slash? What's he getting up to at the moment? He's in 6th place on a 24.6. Doesn't look like he's on a lap. Looks like he's about to build up onto a lap currently. But he'll be buoyed by his teammates' performance. He'll be thinking if Ben can get up there, he can do the same. And he goes on to our flying lap by the looks of it. Yes, his ERS is being used. Let's see how Night Slash then gets on with his run. Important for Night Slash. He's had a couple of good results this season. He's obviously, like a number of drivers, looking for a race win, but he's more than capable of scoring podiums. As a McLaren, he had a very competitive display at Portimao earlier in the season, did the McLaren driver. He was right in the thick of things, fighting for 5th place. That podium beckons. Can he do it here tonight around Mexico City? This is obviously where the track is based. It's been around for a long, long time as the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, built in 1962. So 61 years it's been open for. It's had a number of safety changes since it first opened. Of course, named after the Rodriguez brothers. Firstly, Ricardo, who sadly died in 62, just after the track had opened at this circuit as well. And his brother Pedro alongside him as well. He was a good driver in his own right in the mid-60s. Those two were certainly the two contemporary F1 drivers before Sergio Perez came along. But let's watch and see what Night Slash does as he comes around this final corner. It's a 24.3, he improves by 2/10. Sees him up to 6th place. Psycho in the pits at the moment. And Shortbread definitely ready for another lap. So he is just entering the stadium section. Oh, Natty G has lost the back end. That was a bit of a peculiar place for the car to snap there. Dino also onto a lap in the Red Bull. Now Dino certainly running a little bit more front wing compared to other drivers that I've seen on the approach to turn one. He's topping out at just at 200 miles an hour. whereas you saw Sachetto before was running at 206. So you can see that the wings are a little bit different for the drivers and the setups are a little bit different, even though the cars are all, of course, running the equal performance. Everybody is down, it's down to them in terms of what setups they run to make the car faster and how it suits their driving style. And weather as well. Weather is a big factor in all of this in terms of whether it will rain for the race. And it's a 50% race. I unfortunately don't have any access to the weather forecast, unfortunately, as a spectator. But we will soon find out. Hopefully you're all having a good time today, watching this qualifying session with just 7 minutes to go now. Shortbread in third place. He's just overtaken Dino. He pulled over to the side. Will this be any quicker from the Mercedes driver? He's just coming around the final corner now, is Shortbread. And it is. It's a 123.5 from the Mercedes. Can anybody else respond to that? Ben Roberts is about 6.5 tenths down in the first sector, so unless he has a gargantuan effort in the next two, he's not going to beat that. Viper is matching his time at the moment. The Red Bull just coming around the finals corner now, tentatively, but he's not improving. So he stays in third position. Ben Roberts is definitely on a build-up lap here. He's just got his ERS up to practically full there, so he will go on for another lap. Oh, big slide from Jolt, and round he goes. Just lost the tail end. Looked like the car was upset a little bit through turns 7 and 8 and lost it on the exit of 9, but lots of runoff around Mexico. Fortunately for the Haas driver, so he carries on relatively unharmed, outside of his ego, of course. JDM also up there in 5th place. That's good to see, the Alfa Romeo. He's just on an out lap at the moment. I think Joss is also on a lap, but he's got virtually no ERS left, so he might need to just slow it down a little bit. And sure enough, he is doing. He's trying to save some of that battery. Psycho is improving. He's coming around the final corner, and the Aston Martin goes P1. I just caught the end of his lap. Psycho up to pole position. That is a great effort for him. Aston Martin up in P1, the only Aston Martin in the grid as well. He is flying the flag for Lawrence Stroll and his team. Everyone just trying to get back to the pits by the looks of things at the moment. Apart from Viper, who's going on to a lap, who's now down on the second row of the grid in 4th. Half a second separates the Red Bull from Psycho in P1. I've got to also say, this is what I could see at the moment. The track conditions are certainly getting drier. I don't think it's going to be dry enough for slick tyres. With 4 and a bit minutes to go, to be honest. But that will play a factor for anybody who wants to be the last over the line to set a lap. That will certainly benefit them. Viper matches his first sector time. Look to see who else is on a lap. Shari is going into the pit, so he's not on a lap at the moment. But Viper is currently on a lap, as is JDM, who's just in front of him. I'm going to watch JDM, who's in 5th position. Watching what his sector time was as he came across. Viper's, didn't quite catch Viper's sector time as he went across the timing beams there. But Viper will be setting the next lap after JDM, so let's see how the Alfa Romeo does out of the final corner. Will this be an improvement for him? It is. He puts himself 4th, and Viper's in the pits. So Viper drops to 5th place. He'll have enough time to get in, get a new set of intermediate compound tyres on, and then going back out for one last lap. It'll be tight, but he'll have enough time to do that. Night Slash is now on a lap as well. in the McLaren. Big twitch going through turn 1 and 2. That car looks very nervous in the change of direction in this circuit. Followed Night Slash a couple of times on the laps that he's done so far. He is up on his lap, but 1,000th of a second is not the margin he's looking for compared to Josh, who's in front of him by about a tenth. So Night Slash needs to find a little bit more time if he can. Nice and tidy middle sector so far as he comes to the left-hander of turn 7. Nice use of the curbs, but you can see how using a little bit too much curb can unsettle the car. Really applied himself nicely through there, did Night Slash. Let's look at this sector 2 times he comes across the line. Yeah, he is improving. That's 2.5 tenths. Much more like it from the McLaren. Can he get himself into the 23s? Big moments here for Night Slash. He's just about hanging onto the car. And he'll come across the line and he'll set a 1:24.1. It's enough to put him on the 3rd row of the grid. And he's in front of Josh, who is about to go onto a lap. Speaking of going onto laps, Ben Roberts in 3rd place. The McLaren, he was briefly in pole position before. He'll want that position back. Ben Roberts running a little bit less downforce than Dino, from what I can see at the moment, running 202 miles an hour down. So big twitch out of the turn 3 there. That was a huge wobble from Ben. His teammate gets out of the way nicely. Ben is improving out that little bit of extra commitment from the McLaren. It's gained him a 10th so far. Jolt's moved up to 6th in the meantime. But we're with Ben Roberts at the present moment. Psycho has also started his lap, as has Fred will be starting his in a moment. So the top 3 are all preparing themselves, and GRL Viper is for that matter. Oh, Ben just using a couple of higher gears to keep the wheels from spinning. He's still improving in the 2nd sector, but he needs a little bit more if he wants to get on the front row. Down into 1st gear for Ben, gets the car turned in nicely. Can he square the corner up nicely? He does. 2nd gear, upshifts to 3rd. When will he get on the power? What have I just witnessed? Moving on. So, Psycho currently, as Ben takes a very different line across the final corner. Psycho is currently on a lap. He's in the lead at the moment. Provisional pole. He's improving on his lap. Down to 3rd gear for this stadium section. He's just got to tiptoe the car through. He's got to keep it nice and tidy. Any improvement here will certainly cement his pole position just that little bit more. What's the lap from Shortbread? Oh, sorry, what's the lap from Psycho? It wasn't enough. Shortbread is improving. Viper isn't. Currently. So this is it then. Couple of moments to go. Out of the championship protagonists, Viper will be the car next to set a lap time. Can he do anything to get himself further up the field? He comes around the final corner. It's a great effort. He puts himself on the 2nd row. He found all the time in the world, but Shortbread goes even quicker. It's a 23.1. And the Mercedes has provisional pole. Ben Roberts isn't improving. Anybody else on circuit? Night Slash is on a lap. Billy Misu, previous Gavra champion, but he's not setting a lap time. It'll come down to Night Slash. Can he do anything? No, he's called it a day. And CT Pat right at the end goes 14th. It's Shortbread then on pole position for the Mexico Grand Prix here at the Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. Psycho will line up alongside him on the front row. A good effort from Viper in the end to get onto the 2nd row. Just puts him in the wheel tracks of Shortbread at the start. Not necessarily a bad place to start. Don't forget Mexico's main straight is so long that at the start, the cars on the 2nd row, including Viper and Ben Roberts, might fancy themselves getting a good tow. A bit of slipstream down towards turn 1. JDM and Jolt on the 3rd row of the grid. Night Slash with Billy Misu on the 4th row. Joss in 9th. Dino 10th in the end. That is your top 10 in terms of qualifying. at the moment. Shortbread will be the most happy of everybody on the grid because he has pole position and a clear track in front of him, but the start will be absolutely vital. In terms of those outside of the top 10, Natty G 11th, Sachetto 12th, Shari 13th. Fair play to CT Pat in 14th. I think that's the first time this season that he's qualified off the back row of the grid, so that's really positive for Pat. JMB Surreal there in 15th place, didn't quite gel with the conditions, but we will see how everybody responds in the coming moments. Will we have a wet race? Will we have a dry race? We'll find out in a moment. But do comment below for those that are in the Twitch live chat here with Gavra Racing. Who do you think will be the race winner? That looks like a dry circuit to me, and it is indeed. Looks overcast though, so there could be some rain later on for the drivers to contend with. We will be getting going in the moment's time. Who will make the best start? Shortbread taking pole position, his third of the campaign, but can he make this stick? He'll have a very eager Viper behind him, providing that Viper's clutch works off the start. That is a known technical issue for the Red Bull driver. Who else can make an impression at the front? So you've got the Mercedes of Shortbread on the right and the Aston Martin of Psycho on the left. Who will make the best getaway? And the race is live here from Mexico City. Looks like a really good start for Viper. He's going to go through the middle as they go towards turn one. It's 3 wide coming down the main straight. But at the moment, it looks like Viper is pushing himself through the middle. Him and Psycho are going to be side by side on the brakes into turn one. Viper tries to lead it round the outside. Good, clean racing between the front four as Jolt tries to move forward. Viper goes right off the circuit to make sure he doesn't hit anybody. But at the moment, Viper makes the best start. And he is in the lead of the race. Psycho second, Shortbread third, Jolt up to fourth. He's got Ben Robert alongside him. They keep it nice and clean for the time being, which they have done. Dino's trying to look for a position at fifth. Him and Ben Roberts side by side through turn 6, but they just about give each other enough room. And the McLaren stays in front of the Red Bull, but that is exactly the start that Viper would have wanted. Not ideal for Shortbread, but admittedly the tyre difference certainly paying off for Viper. He's on the medium tyres, as is Psycho. Shortbread on the harder compound, and Jolt and Ben Roberts for that matter as well. So different strategies already playing out. Good start for Dino, he's up 4 places, and for CT Pat as well, up to 10th in that Alpine, so that's a positive start for him. A lot of drivers are running the hard compound tyre. The only driver who's doing something a bit differently is Natty G. He's running the soft tyres in these opening phases of the race. Here comes Jolt. Can he make a move? He cannot make a move. He was very close. Just shaped to make an overtaker position on Shortbread, but wasn't quite close enough. That's Billy Misu. Had a bit of a spin there. Not ideal. Here comes CT Pat to go past Natty G for 9th place, but Natty rolls it around the outside, uses the softer compound tyre, and he just about stays in front. That's a good fight for 9th place, and a little bit of contact wheel to wheel between Pat and Sachetto. No one's fault. Jolt's gone round in the Haas. He was running in 4th place. He's lost the back end by the looks of it on the exit of turn 7. I suspect he's ran over the curb there, and he's got the pressure of Natty G behind him. Don't forget, those soft tyres will be so much quicker than the hards at the moment. DRS will be available on the next lap, of course. And Viper sets a new fastest lap of the race, a 118.8. He has gone and up the road, 1.6 clear of Psycho, so he's out of DRS range already. Shortbread is 3rd, Ben Roberts 4th, Dino holding on to the back of them in 5th place. That's Jay, Night Slash, Jolt, Natty G and CT Pat running in the top 10. So far, so good though for all the drivers. No real danger in terms of any damage for the cars from what I could see. Anybody going to be close enough to try and make it an overtake? It doesn't look likely at the present. Everyone just a couple of tenths away from one another at the moment. There's a good few fights at the moment around circuit. Two Ferraris running together in 12th and 13th. Right behind Sachetto. Just looks like he's got a little bit more speed at the moment than the pass in front of him. It's a sixth gear, nice line through there for Josh. But oh, Sachetto! That's the wall, that's the front wing gone. Just clipped the wall, and around went the front wing, and he hit the curb as well. That's a broken front wing for him. Is that a virtual safety car, potentially? I'm just looking. Yes, it is indeed. So it's a virtual safety car. So everyone will have to go to a set speed. That's a good time for Natty G. That's worked out nicely. Gets rid of the soft tyres. He could probably try the medium tyres, maybe do a two-stop, and that's exactly what he is doing. Soft compound onto the mediums for Natty. Off he goes. He won't lose as much time either. Looking to see if the virtual safety car is going to end soon. Oh, and Shari's got a time penalty for speeding under virtual safety car. We're back green flag racing again here at Mexico. Now, Viper's been caught out a little bit, I think, here by the resumption of the green flag running. Because Psycho's within a second of him now, and he'll have DRS available. And Psycho, when he gets an opportunity, we've seen this in leagues that he's done before with Gavra, when he has a sniff of a chance, he certainly won't be afraid to try and put a brave move on the Red Bull in front of him. That's Pat. I think Pat's gone round. He has. It was a nice cameo for Pat in the top 10, but he's gone round. So, Psycho, first of the DRS zones available to him. Viper already moving and weaving her down the straight. He can do that, he's far enough ahead. Psycho certainly won't be close enough to make an overtake at the moment. He'll try and set something up on the exit of turn 3. Braked a lot later than Viper then as well, did Psycho, and got a nicer line. Won't be close enough for a move, but he's certainly giving something for the Red Bull driver in front to think about. He's closing that gap down. He is going to go for it. Up the inside goes Psycho. I didn't think he'd be close enough. He's trying to go around the outside at turn 6. They run each other wide. Viper's on the inside for the double right-hander. Still side by side. This is great racing between the two. Psycho's going to have the inside line. Will either of them give up to the corner? No, they won't. Psycho has to run Viper over the road, and Viper keeps in front. That was really good racecraft between the two. Great fighting. Psycho's going to have another dosage of DRS though, and Viper, I know exactly what he's done there. Viper has slowed down, lets the Aston Martin go through so that he can have a double dose of DRS down the next two zones. On the exit of this corner, of course, Paratada, and the exit of turn 3. Big slide for Psycho, and that's going to make it a lot easier for the Red Bull to overtake him. Right in the wheel tracks of the Aston Martin, DRS open. He doesn't need to think about using ERS. It should be straightforward. And through goes Viper. That was really, really good fighting. And Ben Roberts is going past Shortbread for 3rd place. So that is a move for position for the podium. Viper will stay ahead of Psycho on the approach to turn number 4. So we do have a race on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. The fighting between Psycho and Viper is just keeping Ben Roberts and Shortbread close enough behind. And of course, that different strategy that they're running might pay dividends. We're only a sixth of the race through at the moment. We're on lap 6 of 36. Those that can do the times table, 6 by 6, 36 of course. Patrick picks up the time penalty. Now this is something that was also being discussed last week in terms of the post-race conversation between the drivers. Oh, as Psycho gets very close to the back of Viper, got his line wrong. track limits around here, very, very strict on this F1 22 game. The drivers have to be careful not to pick up too many time penalties, because that will certainly play an influencing factor as the race progresses. We saw it in Canada last week in the 2 races that we had there. It will be the same here at Mexico. Psycho might be setting up another move here. Certainly causing the Red Bull a lot of grief at the moment in the lead. But Viper should be far enough ahead on the approach to turn 4, which he is indeed. Shortbread still within a close range of Ben Roberts in 4th place. Be a bit annoyed that he's down in 4th position at the moment. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and with the clouds looking to be a little bit darker here, things might still change. Nice Night Slash just rolls up to the back of Jolt for 7th place. I'm skipping between a couple of cars, but at the minute the closest fights on track are for 1st and 3rd respectively. It's been a great opening stint to this race for these two. It's been exciting to watch. Now, is Psycho close enough this time around? Doesn't look like he is. Looks like Viper has more than enough of a gap to stay in front, which he does do. Psycho has so much more confidence on the brakes compared to Viper this evening. There's certainly a few corners I'm spotting where Psycho is definitely closing the gap to the Red Bull in front of him. He's just not quite close enough to get back in front. That smart bit of racecraft from Viper just kept him in front for the time being. But even if Psycho does get past, the question then is asked, can Psycho pull away from the Red Bull? It's easier than harder than it looks around this circuit. Oh, as Psycho runs it very wide over the AstroTurf on the exit of turn 11, he got away with that. Everyone's still quite reasonably close together at the moment. But it's Viper who still leads the way. Can Psycho get a better exit this time? He has done. That's much better from the Aston Martin. Now, will Psycho be able to set up a move for the exit of turn 3? It doesn't look like he's going to be close enough as Matty G picked up the penalty. Viper darting to the left-hand side. On the brakes, down into 4th gear. That's a better line from Viper, it has to be said, and he gets on the power earlier. Psycho will have to wait for another opportunity on this lap to try and go through, but that was really good line from Viper to stay in front of Psycho. Shortbread still on the back of Ben Roberts. These two have got some really good pace on the hard tyres of Ben and Shortbread. They're keeping the front two honest on those harder compound tyres. Field does look quite settled though at the moment. Dino's there in 5th place. If he can hold on to 5th, Dino, it'd be his best result of the season. It just goes to show you how difficult Dino's had it this season. Someone has gone round. That is Night Slash facing the wrong way. He was trying to catch Jolt and he's lost it on the exit of turn 7. So before the second part of the S's, the McLaren is facing the wrong way. Night Slash though rejoins in 10th position. Light goes closer. He's not quite close enough at the moment. This looks like a good opportunity for Psycho, providing he gets the line right. He does. A little wiggle from Viper, and Psycho knows this. This is a chance for the Aston Martin. Viper goes defensive. Psycho biding his time. Viper goes deep. Psycho looks to do the undercut, but he doesn't quite catch Viper unawares there. Viper just about managed to slow his car down. And he stays in front of the Aston Martin, but this is very tense now between these two. Ben Roberts Shortbread will be conscious of these two fighting. They'll be hoping that they carry on fighting for the lead, because it just brings them closer to the gap. And look at the gap between Ben and Psycho now. It's less than 3 seconds. And if Ben Roberts and Psycho have a race in mind, which they both clearly do, Shortbread, of course, a multiple-time champion with Gavra Racing, they'll know not to fight too hard. Get onto the back of them. Oh, Psycho just took a bit too much curb for that corner. He's got DRS available to him. You can see he's closing that gap down. He's really closing that gap down. Will he be able to make a little lunge into turn 1? He's alongside the Red Bull. Give each other racing room. Psycho sets the car up, but he didn't quite get the car switched back underneath as well as he wanted to. A little wiggle on the exit. Viper again defensive on the approach to turn number 4. He's going to try and go around the outside. Is the Aston Martin this time? Can Psycho make it around the corner? He's going to be alongside the Red Bull. They give each other racing room. Viper goes right off the circuit and keeps the position. Does he? Psycho still got his nose there. Good acceleration from the Aston Martin. He's going to go through, and the Aston Martin leads the way on lap 11 here at the Mexico Grand Prix. Psycho gets in front, and can he make that pay now? Can he pull away from Viper? But the problem is these two have been closed down massive thanks to Ben Roberts and Shortbread. Those two fighting so hard on the medium tyres have brought them into play. That's made it a 4-car fight for the lead. In the meantime, Jay lost 6th position. He had a little spin, I think, in the middle sector. I don't think Viper's going to be close enough by the looks of it, and he isn't. So we have ourselves a 4-car fight for the race victory. Viper will want to try and get that first place back. Will he be close enough to do so as JDM pits on the hard tyres? Yeah, Viper not close enough to shape for an overtake here at turn 4. Got to say, really good racecraft between Viper and Psycho. That was excellent to watch. Both squeezing one another, but just allowing a little bit of room. Tell you something though, Ben Roberts is closing this gap down. It seems that the pace of the hard tyres is just coming into effect now. The mediums still will be good for a couple more laps, of course, but the hard tyres will have the pace advantage probably by this point. And Ben Roberts just had DRS then. That gives the Viper something to think about. And Psycho has managed to pull a second on the Red Bull of Viper. Let me just watch as they cross the line. Yeah, Viper doesn't have DRS, but Ben Roberts does. Shortbread's just out of DRS range for the two in front of him, so he's going to lose a lot of time in this next couple of corners. You can see how much the DRS is worth around here. Half a second Shortbread lost down that main straight. This is a very intriguing fight now we have on our hands at the Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. Psycho still leads the way from Viper, from Ben Roberts, who's now right under the rear wing of that Red Bull. And Shortbread will be thinking and hoping that those cars in front of him just fight a little bit more so he can join in the fun. He is really pushing in that Mercedes. Everyone else is just a little bit gapped and far away from one another, apart from JMB Surreal and Pat, so we'll focus on this fight near the front. Viper just can't seem to get close enough to the back of that Aston Martin. He is pushing, you can see Viper's trying everything that he can, but he just can't seem to make the ground up. So it'll be another lap where Ben Roberts has DRS on him again. Viper knows he's under pressure. He goes very, I wouldn't say defensive, but he pulls a defensive line, shall we say, down the main straight. Ben Roberts has got a lot of straight line speed in that McLaren. He's seriously quick. And the thing with the DRS, look at this now. Shortbread is 1.8 seconds behind. Oh, Billy Misu has left the session. That's a connection issue. Hopefully we can get him back in the race. Ben Roberts is in a very good position to not only take Viper, but also potentially win this Grand Prix. He'll be on the softer compound tyres later on. Whether he picks the mediums or the softs is entirely his choice, of course. As JDM sets the new fastest lap of the race, so shows you just how much speed Jay has, but he's all the way down in 14th, sadly for him. Lots of fighting going on at the back of the grid for 13th, 14th and 12th. But I'm just watching if Ben Roberts is close enough this time. Billy Misu fortunately has rejoined, so he'll get control of his car again. Viper not in DRS range, but Ben Roberts is. Now, this is a chance for the McLaren. Can he close that gap? He certainly is doing, but can he close it enough to make a move at turn one? Viper's going defensive. Ben swings to the outside line. Oh, they're side by side. They need to give each other a little bit of room, which they have done. Oh, contact between the two. Viper picks up a penalty, which is quite harsh, to be honest. Ben Roberts goes through. And that is a move for second place. I think Viper would have grounds to appeal that penalty. There was contact between the two. But Ben Roberts won't care about any of that. He is into second place. He's looking like the man. He could be on for a race victory. It'd be another race victory for him to add to the ones that he had at Miami. And is that a virtual safety car again? It looks like it is. But I think it's because Pat lost the back end and he's broke his front wing as Pat. So that's what's caused that virtual safety car. Now, if you're on the medium tyres, do you risk pitting now and going onto the hard compound tyres at the end? You might gain a couple of seconds under this virtual safety car, depending on when it ends. And Viper thinks that's the case, as does Psycho. But Billy Misu has another problem with the lobby. That puts Ben Roberts into the lead. And we are green flag again. So Psycho and Viper will have gained a little bit of time. Shortbread also pitted then as well, I noticed, to go onto the medium tyres. So Shortbread thinking he can take the medium tyres 20 laps. Unless he thinks rain is coming, but he's going to be right behind Viper. Well, this race has just shaped up to be fascinated. So Ben Roberts leads, thanks to Psycho pitting, jolts up to second. Then it's Josh, Psycho's in fourth. Shortbread is all over the back of that Red Bull. He'll have the medium tyre advantage as well. This is effectively the fight for what would be a net third position at the moment. But this is a great, great fight at the moment. Really intriguing. Just having a look to see the gaps between the drivers around the field. Dino and Night Slash are very close together in 8th and 9th. We're watching Shortbread, who's trying to make as much use of those medium tyres as he possibly can. He's got a lot of confidence in that car. Will Viper decide to fight him as Jolt goes to the pits and picks up a time penalty? Speeding in the pit lanes, that puts Josh up to second. So DRS will be available for the Mercedes. But he's not close enough to Viper to overtake him at the moment. On the brakes down into third gear for Shortbread. Both using different gears. But Shortbread just can't get close enough to Viper. Viper will do everything he can to try and... Whoa! Shortbread got that all wrong in terms of his braking. I was about to say that Viper will do everything he can to keep the Mercedes behind. This is his championship rival, is Viper to Shortbread. Viper looking for that first weekend league title. Shortbread looking for his 6th within Gavra. This is an intense battle between the two cars. Shortbread just can't seem to get close enough to the back of Viper. Viper seems to have found a little bit of pace on this hard compound tyre. He'll be pleased with that. Meanwhile, Psycho blasts past Joss for second place down the straight. Easy enough for the Aston Martin. Joss won't be fighting that one too hard. He's in a very different race in the Ferrari. Those clouds are getting heavier. And yet still, Shortbread can't use the medium tyre advantage. This will be frustrating, Shortbread, because he knows he has the better tyre at the present moment. And he knows he's got to try and get past Viper. But good lines from the pair of them. That was really nice to watch between the two. Kept that nice and clean in the middle sector. Slash picks up a time penalty. So he tries again in the Mercedes. Can he get close enough to Viper? Answer is no on this straight, because Viper gets an excellent exit. Psycho in the meantime, I think just set fastest lap of the race. He did. It's a 1:18.5, 0.6 quicker than what Ben Roberts has managed in terms of Ben's fastest lap. So you could tell that the harder compound tyre at this point now in the race, you can see the advantage that having a new set of tyres has compared to someone who's done 18 laps on theirs. Oh, big wiggle for Psycho coming on the power at the exit of turn number 5. There's a spinner in the middle sector. I think that's Pat. As we move on to the halfway mark of this race. It's a shame for Pat. He was having a very good race, actually, was the Alpine. I've been really pleased to see the CT driver fighting with a couple of cars, but a couple of spins just dropped him away from everybody. It's more practice, more experience for the Alpine to build on for the next event, which is, of course, at Saudi Arabia in Jeddah, as Joss finally makes a pit stop. So he'll drop out of the podium fight, and he'll probably drop down maybe to win Night Slashes, potentially. Jolt will go past him, Dino will go past him. Yeah, just in front of Night Slash will just end up on the medium tyres. Meanwhile, there's a good fight in terms of the Williams of Natty G and Night Slash, but Night Slash stays ahead of the Williams for now. That's James B. Surreal getting past Shari, who goes into the pits. Who also picks up a time penalty for good measure, which isn't ideal, but Ben Roberts is still leading the way. Has lost a little bit of time to the cars behind. Psycho's certainly going to re-emerge in the lead of this race. Psycho's putting in an excellent effort in the Aston Martin at the moment. Viper still has Shortbread behind. The problem for Shortbread now is that he'll be coming to a point where the absolute best of the tyres will have gone. Who will use the ERS? So Viper pulls away. And Shortbread just electing to sit behind the Red Bull. Is Shortbread trying to save his tyres potentially? Who knows? But Shortbread will want to get in front of that Red Bull as soon as he can, you would feel. While just watching the fight further down the field, JDM just moves himself into 10th. He's going to go around the outside of Night Slash for 9th. Oh, bit of wheel-to-wheel action. Night Slash goes over the grass and drops down to 11th. And that's Jay up to 9th. Jay just caught everybody else unawares now. Back to that fight for 3rd place. Shortbread trying everything he can. He just can't get past this Red Bull. Ooh, little wiggle for Viper on the exit of Barretada there. As Pat picks up a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Ben Roberts though deciding to make those hard tyres as long as he possibly can. Maybe he's trying to set up for a soft tyre run at the end, which would be pretty impressive. That is an Alpha Tauri round. That looks like J&B Surreal. Only 3 drivers now who are yet to pit in this race. That's Ben Roberts, Billy Misu in 5th, and also Night Slash in 11th position. Everyone else has made a stop. Of course, don't forget X90G is out of kilter with everybody else. He's on medium tyres. He started on the softs, went to the mediums. Probably will run the mediums again to the end. Whether that strategy will pay off, we will wait and see. But the Mercedes of Shortbread is still right with the Red Bull of Viper. Both of them using different gears through the stadium section. Now, Viper again gets a really good exit off the final corner. Shortbread just isn't close enough to the Red Bull to make a move. Jolt's gone past Billy Misu, who pits. Well, that's a nicer line from the Mercedes. But then he couldn't quite get the car turned the way he would have wanted it. So Shortbread loses a little bit more time after originally gaining it. Billy Misu's going to come out of the pits down in 11th position. Well, this fight for 3rd is truly hotting up. It's been so intense ever since they came out of the pits together. As Joss moves into 6th place past Geraldino, making use of those medium tyres as Joss. That was a good move, that, around the outside. Into the pits comes our race leader. On lap 24, the McLaren is going to bolt on a new set of medium tyres. Psycho is coming round the final corner. So Psycho will lead the race with 12 laps to go. Where is Viper and Shortbread in relation to the McLaren? Ben Roberts is getting up to speed now. Oh, it's going to be so close on the exit. Viper's got the speed. Shortbread's coming along too. Can Shortbread go around the outside of the McLaren? Ben Roberts tries to dive one further on the inside. There's a little bit of contact, but he just keep it in a straight line. Viper just squeezes in front of the McLaren of Ben Roberts, who will have ERS available. He doesn't have DRS, of course. He's just come out of the pits. He's trying to go around the outside of the Red Bull, but he can't quite make it. Shortbread tried to look through as well, but they cannot get past that Red Bull at the moment. That was exceptionally tight. So Viper is in 2nd place, but Ben Roberts will be on comfortably to the end with those medium tyres. Psycho has a 6.5 second lead. Don't forget, of course, Viper has that time penalty. Now, admittedly, that was a little bit unfortunate for Viper, because he did get a penalty because of what went on in terms of his fight earlier. He hasn't picked up any other time penalties than, oh, he has actually, he has exceeded track limits. So, Ben Roberts to the outside line in the McLaren. DRS available, and he breezes on by for 2nd place. Now, can the McLaren go off and get a race win? Because that would be seriously impressive if Ben can pull 6 seconds in the remaining 11 laps. It's more than possible to do that. But Psycho's tyres will comfortably last them to the end of the race. Just got to try and keep himself nice and tidy. That is another... No, that's a safety car. Wow! Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a potential race on our hands. The safety car has come out on lap 25, 11 to go. This will bring the whole field together. And what do you do if you've just gone onto a new set of tyres? X-Natty G is on the soft compound. Will Psycho decide to pit? I'm watching him at the moment. He does. So Psycho will give up track position. Ben Roberts won't pit. He's only just put those new tyres on. He will go into the lead this race. Viper does pit. And kind of cut across the pit entry. I don't think Shortbread will be too pleased. Who will get the pit stop? Excuse my language. Who will get the best pit stop out of the two of them? Oh, Viper is just in front of Shortbread. Shortbread on the soft tyres though, so this will be a good fight. Dino has decided not to pit at all. He's going to go and help his teammate. And Dino is up to 3rd place on the hard tyre. Viper almost losing the back end, and that's Billy Misu for getting a drive penalty under safety car. Joss has come out in 6th, Jolt's there in 7th. JDM and Billy Misu, this is going to be close on the pit exit. But JDM was in front at that safety car board. X-Natty G will be on the soft tyres, he's in 10th place. All these drivers will potentially have a chance to catch the safety car, apart from JMB Surreal, who unfortunately is behind Ben Roberts. He won't be allowed to unlap himself. JMB Surreal, sadly for him, will be stuck and he'll have to get out of the way of everyone. Ben leads the way then, Psycho in 2nd place. This is the thing for Psycho, he's got a equal machinery to Ben Roberts in terms of, you know, tyre difference is going to be very negligible. But the other thing is that he'll have a little buffer on the strategy compared to Dino behind on the hard tyre. It'll all come down to getting that exit right on the safety car restart. Viper's on the medium tyres, Shortbread's on the soft, as is Joss, who is now catching the safety car. Watch out for Joss. And Jolt is also on the mediums. JDM's on the softs. So for those in the chat, who do you think's going to win this with 9 laps remaining? Who is in the Twitch chat who you think might win that? And for the love of my sanity, please don't take the mick out of me anymore in terms of the mistake I made earlier. It's the most embarrassing thing I've said in a pit stop strategy. There we go. See, said it right then, pit stop. How hard's that? Not what I said. But yeah, safety car coming out because of CT Pat. Now, I didn't think that Pat's incident was enough to bring out the safety car compared to what happened earlier when Sachetto lost the back end in the middle sector. He broke his front wing, that would have brought out a safety car. But regardless, F1 22, the game seems to think that that's the case, so we carry on. There's a comment in the chat there from John O'Power saying how long does the safety car last to keep those soft in check for the end? The soft tyres in theory could last 7, 8 laps. So if the safety car comes in at the end of this lap as we tick it over to 28, there is a very good chance that the softs could last to the end. we have a fascinating 7 laps remaining, presuming that the safety car comes in this lap, which in theory it should do. So this will be quite tight now as to whether Natty G, Night Slash in particular, those two should be able to catch the safety car. The problem is whether Shari would be able to. I don't think Sachetto, well, I think he's too far away, and obviously he's AMB Surreal, it's impossible for him to do so. Let's watch where the drivers are. So Natty G's coming towards turn 4. He catches the safety car, no problem at all, and Night Slash will. So Shari won't want to take too much out of those tyres to catch the safety car, because he has a good chance of getting points here, because he doesn't have any time penalties. I did say earlier that time penalties will be a big factor around this circuit. Viper obviously has those 3 seconds, but he has got a few more warnings, so he might be at risk of another. Jolt's got 3 seconds, Billy Miso has a drive-through penalty. Natty G's got 6 seconds, Night Slash, Sachetto and JMB Surreal, they have 3 seconds worth of penalties. Safety car in this lap, and Shari will just about catch the tail end of the group, but I think Sachetto might be a couple of corners too far away. So Ben Roberts has a car between himself and Psycho thanks to JMB Surreal, who's lap car. So when does Ben Roberts go, and can he get away before anybody put the pressure on him? Psycho's got to be wary of Dino behind him. Ben Roberts still hasn't gone yet. Now he has. Oh, Psycho got the wheels lit up a little bit on the exit of the corner. Is he going to be vulnerable to Viper? Dino pushing his teammate along towards the curb. Psycho now pulls himself out of the slipstream of the lap marker car. Viper moves up to 3rd. Shortbread's trying to go around the outside. This is going to be so important. Shortbread has to get past Dino, and he does. Just about. That was vital for Shortbread's fight to get into the lead. Jolt's gone round. In the house, he's down to 12th, sadly. Sachetto did catch the back of the pack, by the way, right at the end. Looks like there's a fight between Joss and JDM for 6th position. Dino is going to be a sitting duck on those hard compound tyres. Psycho picks up a time penalty. Well, Ben Roberts will be smiling at that one. The front 4 are pulling away already. Dino is becoming the traffic jam. Oh, and Dino's lost it and into the wall. Round he goes. That moves the mobile chicane on those hard tyres, unfortunately for him. Not an insult to Dino, it's just that he was on 2 harder steps of tyre compared to the cars behind him. So, lap 30 we are about to approach. 6 laps to go. Ben Roberts leads the way. Psycho is behind, but he has a penalty, as does Viper. Then it's Shortbread on the softer compound tyres, and it all comes down to who manages their ERS effectively. And I've got to say, they're all on roughly similar ERS strategies. So let's see how they get on. Joss is in 5th place. JDM manages to hold off Night Slash. All sorts of action going on around me. JDM runs it out wide though. Natty G trying to go around Shari, but Shari's got more straight line speed for 8th place, and he goes through. Natty's trying to go around the outside, door to door. Oh, it's a little bit messy this, and Natty goes over the curb. Sachetto, can he go round? He can, but he's picked up a time penalty as he does that. Not ideal. Well, that was all a little bit clumsy. DRS will be activated on the next lap, so Ben Roberts is trying to push now to get out of that 1 second time gap that he has, and currently he's 7.5 tenths clear of Psycho. And if they start fighting, it'll bring Viper into the mix, it'll bring Shortbread into the mix. This is on for the race lead. Any of these 4 drivers could win this race. And that's a couple of new fastest laps set in succession. Ben Roberts was quick, but then Psycho was quicker on a 1:18.4. DRS, of course, now active. The drag reduction system is in effect. Joss is there in 5th place. Joss is actually, to his credit, has pulled away from the cars behind a little bit. He's brought JDM with him though. So that's a fight for everybody else to try and contend with. Shortbread's just struggling. to stay in the slipstream of the cars in front. That's why he's a little bit further back. This is what cost him earlier on in the race in the Mercedes. Championship leader just can't get close enough to the back of Viper. Oh, all bets are off now in terms of who's going to win this race. Of course, don't forget Ben Roberts, he doesn't have a time penalty, unlike the two behind him. Shortbread's got himself within DRS, that is vital. He needs to stay there and stick with that group. If he falls out of DRS, it's going to be really hard for him to catch up. Sexati G goes past Sachetto for ninth place. Viper now sets a new fastest lap. He's got his bit between his teeth. He's going to have DRS. He's got a little bit of ERS available to him, but he's just not quite closing the gap to Psycho, who is closing the gap to Ben Roberts. On the brakes at turn 1, down to third gear. That's a good line for Psycho. Can he queue it up on the exit at turn 3? He can, but he runs a little bit wide. Is he close enough to make a little late lunge? He did it earlier to Viper. He isn't this time around. Oh, these three are Constantina enough, and it's bringing Shortbread into this, but Shortbread's line through turn 4 wasn't ideal. He needs to get back in that DRS range. If these three start fighting though, he'll be right there with them. And they certainly are having a huge scrap as Jolt sets the fastest lap. Sadly, too little too late for the Haasman. Shortbread has DRS, everybody in the top 4 outside of the race leader Ben Roberts has DRS available to them. Psycho will want to try and get past her. He want to try and build that 3-second lead if he can. That's a really good exit from Ben Roberts. He's just pulled a little gap there. It's going to be hard for those three behind to try and close that gap. You can see the slipstream starting to come into effect. Psycho about 10 mile an hour quicker with DRS compared to Ben Roberts. He can't get through. That's a nice line from Psycho. He runs wide again though. He just can't make an overtake on Ben at the moment. It's all very close for the top 4 and for 5th place as well, because Joss and JDM are very close together. Don't forget, if any of these 4 have an accident, could bring those 2 into the podium places if it takes 3 of them out. Don't wish that on anybody, of course. But it's not out of the realms of impossibility. Psycho having a really good middle sector. I've been really impressed with Psycho's car control through there. He's very quick in that flick left, right, left sequence through 9 and 10 and 11. He's just not close enough where he needs to be when it comes to these final corners, and Ben again gets out of the corner well, and that's the biggest gap so far. If anything, Viper is actually closer to the back of Psycho, who's been caught a little bit sleeping here as Psycho. Viper to the inside of turn 1 on the brakes, and Psycho was caught out there. I don't think he realised how quickly Viper was gaining on him. Into the lead then goes the Red Bull. Shortbread just hanging on in there. Psycho will be a bit annoyed at that one. Ben Roberts will be just watching that in terms of who's behind him. Of course, a lot of people having comments in terms of the soft tyres. The soft tyres clearly just not quite working for Shortbread at the moment. They just seem to be wearing a little bit too quickly, maybe overheating a little. Of course, I'm not going to read out any of the ERS figures for the audience, because some of our drivers, they do listen to the stream. I don't want to give anybody an unfair advantage. They are all roughly similar, that's what I will say. So, Psycho in DRS range of Viper, he's about 4 tenths behind. Psycho's got a very quick car in a straight line. He's not close enough to the back of Viper. Penultimate lap now here at Mexico. It's a good line for Viper, actually. Will he try and make a lunge on Ben Roberts? A late lunge, maybe, to see if he can get into the lead of this race, try and pull away from Shortbread, who is hanging on valiantly. As it stands, Shortbread will be second in this race. These front four are in a class of their own, and they're being led by the McLaren of Ben Roberts, who won in Miami. He's had a few tough races since then. Oh, JDM's lost it, and that brings Night Slash up to 6th. And he's lost his front wing as well, so JDM's going to be out of the points, unfortunately. He's had a huge crash on the exit of looks like turn 7 and 8, he's gone off. Now, Viper, this is his closest chance yet in terms of DRS range. This is the closest he's been. Ben Roberts knows it. He's trying to sweep across the track, but he can't stop the Red Bull straight line speed. Here comes Viper. Ben goes to the inside line to try and defend. Can Viper sweep around the outside? He can. They just about give each other racing room. There's Psycho. Psycho trying to go around the outside of them. He goes past Ben Roberts off circuit. That one will be commented on. But Psycho's going to go past potentially Viper. Viper defends to the inside. Psycho going round the outside at turn 4. He's got the car alongside. Wheel to wheel door banging between the two. They keep it clean just about, and Viper hangs on to the lead of this race. Ben's from first to third. Shortbread's right there as well. 7 corners to go after this, and Shortbread is right in the thick of all of it. Psycho will have one chance with DRS down this straight, but he's got to get the line right, and he does, but he's not close enough to the back of Viper. Viper will cross the line in the lead unless he makes a mistake in these final couple of corners. Psycho goes way too deep. Viper just needs to keep the car nice and tidy to stay in front of Psycho, who gets the car wheel spinning a little bit. Viper will cross the line to lead over the checkered flag. Psycho will go second, but it's Ben Roberts who wins the race. Thanks to time penalties for Viper and Psycho, Shortbread ends up second, Viper third, Psycho fourth. Joss ends up 5th with Night Slash in 6th position. Natty G ends up 7th after all of the chaos. But Shari overtakes him. Well done to Shari for 7th. Natty G 8th. Actually, no, Natty G's fallen even further down. Dino's ended up 8th despite being on the hard tyres, so well done to him. Billy Misu 9th, and Natty G ended up getting the final point at the end, with Cheto JDM breaking his front wing and crossing the line without it. 12th. Jolt yet to see the checkered flag, but JMB Surreal has been lapped. Wow. Take a deep breath, everybody. That was a fabulous race. The top 4 putting on a show for everyone. But in the end, it is Ben Roberts who takes the race victory. And he'll be absolutely ecstatic with that one. Natty G gets driver of the day, according to the game. But nevertheless, what a fabulous final couple of laps that was. The safety car bringing in an intriguing end to this wonderful race here at Mexico City. Ben Roberts doing a good celebration. He would call it a celebration, a good one in terms of winning the race, of course, but he wins in the end by 4.5 tenths from Shortbread. Viper in 3rd, Psycho 4th, Josh 5th, Night Slash in 6th place. Shari, Dino in 7th and 8th, with Billy Misu and the Williams of X90 G getting the final point in 10th. Sachetto, JDM, Jolt and JMB Surreal all finishing. JMB Surreal 1 lap down, and CT Pat was the driver who retired, unfortunately for him. So we'll have some interviews with the drivers at the end of that race, which was absolutely brilliant to watch. I'm sure that the drivers, hopefully the top 4 typically, will have a little conversation. They typically do, these 4 drivers. Maybe not Psycho, I've not spoke with Psycho before, which is fine. But certainly those that are on the podium. I will say in terms of the stewards area, they will be having a chat about track limits, but from what I can see, unfortunately for a couple of them, like Viper and Psycho, they did have multiple warnings. So even if Viper's time penalty gets removed, it'll get reinstated because of the other penalty warnings that he's picked up. So I think that looks pretty concrete in terms of the race positions. But we've got a couple of drivers who are already joining in the chat area, but we'll wait a little bit so that we get everybody in. We'll just wait to see what their views are on what was a superb end to that race. It was truly exciting to watch. Loads of comments in the chat also saying the same in terms of how brilliant that ending was. So let's wait and see.
Hello?
I can hear you. Whoever said that, I don't know who it was, but I'll have a chat with everybody shortly. We'll just wait for a few more to jump in and join.
Fine.
So let's just have a quick look through. Currently we have Ben and Viper, and someone else has just joined in the interview area. I think that's Shortbread. I want to say it is. It is indeed. So there's 3 drivers in the chat. We'll wait and see if anyone else wants to join in. So the drivers already putting in their opinions within the post-race chat in the Discord area about what's gone on. That'll be fascinating for the stewards to handle later on. So I'm going to go on to our race winner then in terms of Shortbread. I'll start with yourself in the McLaren. And hopefully your microphone is unmuted. I'm not 100% certain if it is or it isn't because I can't tell at the moment. But can you hear me? We will never know if Ben can hear me or not. That's because he's got his microphone.
Sorry, I thought you said Shortbread.
No, our race winner, which is Ben Roberts. That's you, my friend. That was frenetic, shall we say, at the end of that race. The safety car certainly bringing everything along. But how are you feeling?
Yeah, no, it was a good race. Really intense at the end. It was about a 6-second gap by the time I've cleared Viper to try and catch up to Psycho at the end. And then obviously the safety car came out. So I had one lap where I was pushing. I think 1 or 2 laps where I was pushing on the mediums. So mine was a little bit more worn, I think, than everyone else's because they obviously came out straight under safety car. They didn't have to put any wear under them. But yeah, it was just about managing it. I think I had really good pace on the hards at the start. It was just trying to avoid penalties. And then obviously when I had the clear track, I decided not to pit onto the virtual safety car, which I don't know whether was the right call, but obviously in the end it kind of worked out. So yeah, just happy to get the P1 really. I didn't expect it really coming into this weekend. So yeah, good result.
Yeah, fantastic result for yourself. Obviously the first race win that you've had since the Miami races earlier this season. I want to come back to that actually because you just touched on it in terms of, you were 6 seconds behind Psycho when you overtook Viper. This was before the safety car came out. Yeah. Do you think you could have caught him? Because it seemed you'd pulled about half a second before the safety car had come out.
Yeah, I felt like I had the pace, to be honest. I think it would have been close, like I would have been catching him in the last few laps. I don't know what the wear on the mediums was like, really. because I haven't done too much practice really on them. I was just trying to practice for the hard stint at the start, and then obviously the medium just feels so much quicker. So if you can get like the hard tyres nailed down, then at least you know what kind of pace you've got in the car. I think I could have maybe caught him up a little bit, but whether I could have actually overtaken, I'm not sure, because I did try and save a bit of my ERS. I think when I came out, I had about 60%, but then obviously getting past Viper, I used quite a bit of it. So whether I would have been able to catch him, I don't know. I would have needed to clear Viper by a second, obviously, to get him out the DRS, and then I would have seen if I can catch him. But yeah, obviously it worked out in the end anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in any case, regardless, it looked like you'd have been odds on potentially to win that. And I know that your mindset in that last lap when you got overtaken was probably a case of let's just get to the end and make sure we're still within 3 seconds to take that race win.
Yeah.
But my question for you, actually, my final question for you, Ben, isn't actually to do with anything of that. You've won 2 races this season in terms of, at Miami, now here at Mexico. What's the rest of the aim for you in this championship? Because we've got 3 rounds to go. We've got the sprint race and the feature race at Jeddah, and then we've got the last round of the season. You're 32 points behind Shortbread. Is it a case of trying to finish 3rd or maybe even 2nd in the championship, or do you still think there's a chance?
I think there's always a chance. I think there could be things that happen to Shortbread's races and stuff. Like today, obviously, I think he had a little bit of bad luck with regards to like the safety car coming out. I think he might have jumped the gun a bit by pitting for the mediums. I'm not sure they would have made it to the end. So I think he got a bit lucky even with having the safety car come out. I say that I want to fight for the championship, but I do race for fun really. But at the same time, I do want to be competitive and just do the best I can really. So I think it's a big haul of points for us, at least for McLaren for the weekend. I'm just looking at the time, and I don't think Flash finished in the points, but good points for us anyway. And hopefully I can do well in Jeddah. I do like the track, and Imola I'm not so great on, but if I do a bit of practice like I did for Mexico today, then hopefully we can get some more points. I think if I'd have scored a few more in Canada last weekend without those I had a few spins and mishaps really in the race. So just looking forward to the rest of the season, see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that, it's a good haul of points for you guys in McLaren, because I don't know if you were aware, but Night Slash finished 6th, so it's 33 points for McLaren.
Oh yeah, he did.
This
I was looking at my thing. I couldn't quite see him a bit. My vision's all blurry after a long race like that.
Absolutely. So, McLaren have come out of that with the most points scored this evening. So it puts you in a decent position for the constructors. I was saying at the start of the stream, it's very close between the top 4 teams. So maybe that's a fight to have later on. But congratulations, Ben. Well done on your 2nd race win of the season.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
All right. Well, that's our race winner, Ben. We're going to move it over to Shortbread. So if you want to unmute your mic there, friend, that would be fantastic.
Hello.
Hi, Shortbread. How you doing?
Yeah, alright, you?
I'm doing alright, thanks. That race for you was a case of just being stuck at the wrong place at the wrong time. Would you agree with that, or do you think you were just a bit unlucky?
Yeah, it just wasn't good enough today. I did no pace compared to the front 3. They were just way quicker. Even on the better tyres, just could barely stick with them on DRS. But if it wasn't for the penalties, P4, yeah, it wouldn't have been great. So lucky that those 2 had penalties, I'd get P2. But yeah, it just wasn't really enough today.
What do you think it was? Because I was watching the cars and I could tell that they had a little bit more straight line speed than you today. Do you think it was more a setup, or was it a little bit of confidence in yourself around Mexico, or maybe a bit of both?
Yeah, it may have been set up, maybe because even if I use ERS, DRS, slipstream, I still wouldn't really get close. I know they had made DRS as well, but I still just really didn't get anywhere, and that's obviously what you need for this track. Yeah, it may have been set up. I feel like I had a decent one, but I guess not in the end. That may be why.
You sound a little bit more dejected than I anticipated, Shortbread. But you've, despite all of that, the strategy to go onto the soft tyres with a couple laps to go might not have paid off in terms of raw pace, but you've ended up finishing 2nd. Now I know that you love Jeddah. I know it's a track that you're a really big fan of. What do you need to do you think, to win this championship? Because you are in the prime position to do so.
Yeah, I think just plain and simple, just stay in front, really. I know it sounds obvious, but that's what I got to do, just try and stay in front. Looking forward to Jeddah, obviously, like you said, my favourite track. Imola isn't bad either, so it could be worse. So, yeah, just try and stay ahead, see what I can do, defend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, in any case, Shortbread, well done on the second place. Might not have been first, but you still extended your lead in the Drivers' Championship, and it helps with the Constructors as well. So that's a double positive for this evening to end on.
Yeah, it's true, yeah, it's not bad.
Not bad at all. Well done, Shortbread. Thanks very much for joining me in the comms.
Yep, cheers.
Okay, we'll move it on to our third place finisher and our last interview of the evening. We'll go over to Viper. Viper, it seemed to be one of those races for you where once again you had the pace at the end, but you just couldn't quite enough to take that race win.
Yeah, true. Honestly, it was a very difficult race because literally when I came home at 7 and I was on the caravan the whole weekend, so I like literally no absolute thing. And then at 7:50, just before the race, my wheel broke for a sec, but then it worked because there was a little bit of an error, so I fixed it. Everything was fine. Then going into qualifying, I was quite confident, but still there was a lot to improve on. The car in the race was just so bad. It was really difficult to keep up with the guys, especially on the mediums. I just had so much problems with traction, and the car just didn't feel as stable as I expected it to be. But of course, that penalty which I got, I'm going to claim that to remove it. Hopefully that gets removed, but it was a very difficult race. I didn't expect it to be winning on the flag, but it's a very difficult race in my opinion. And yeah, it's just I'm quite surprised I even got to the top place because I was just pretty much just learning from muscle memory and just getting used to the wheel. But then later I started getting some experience when I was holding up Shortbread. I think you probably talked about that, because I heard when I was driving when you were commentating that. But to be fair, on my point of view, it's a very difficult race. But yeah, I just hope that penalty gets removed, and it would be very ideal for the championship as well, as Shortbread's going to be P3 if I go for first, so it's going to be pretty much level pegging to Saudi Arabia. But to be fair, it was a very difficult race.
Yeah, it did seem like it, Viper, from what I could see, because it was clear that when you were on the medium tyres before the safety car, you were just about, or rather the reverse compound strategy to what Shortbread was on once you'd pitted. It seemed it was really difficult to keep him behind. Do you think the safety car saved your race?
Yeah, 100%, because Shortbread was on those mediums. I knew he was going to start losing some pace at the end, but the safety car really helped me try and fight for the top position and try and get some points back, because now it's just pretty much just getting those points back to Shortbread, because I know he's going to be running away with it if I don't get the points. So hopefully I'm holding my fingers tight for that penalty to be removed, as I'm saying it a lot, because my setup was really difficult. But yeah, it was very difficult to keep him behind with the softs as well as the mediums. He was quite quick on both, but he wasn't quite quick enough on the straight to overtake me, because it was really difficult for him initially to close in on me, but he was very quick in the corners, and I just couldn't keep up with trying to make some distance between myself and him. But it was quite hard racing between myself and Ben Roberts, as well as Psycho, because they are just quicker pace, as well as that after that VSC has just started all crumbling. Then that safety car just saved my race to an absolutely new level.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one last question for you, Viper. I know that we've chatted about Jeddah and we've chatted about how good Shortbread is around that circuit. So, how much practice do you think you're going to have to do for next week's race to ensure that you can match him?
It's gonna take quite a lot, because Shortbread, he's a very, very quick driver, as I said last week, as well as Psycho, because he said also just now it's a strong track for him. So it's gonna be very difficult. Yeah, it's gonna be very difficult to keep up with both of them, to be fair. But it's been very difficult, especially with no practice. But now I'm gonna have that time to practice and get myself hopefully up to pace and trying to slowly get back to the pace again. But today it was a very difficult race. But as I'm saying so many times, because if you are on my wheel and driving, then yeah, it would just be so difficult to defend against everybody. But for Jeddah, I'm quite excited as well. At the same time, it's a very difficult track to master with all these sweeping corners and all this action sometimes going on around the circuit. So hopefully, it's going to be an interesting race with the sprint as well added to mix it in. So hopefully. It's going to be a good one for Jeddah, I think, but it's going to take some practice and just pretty much clawing back the muscle memory now. And yeah, it's been a very difficult weekend, but hopefully I'll take the positives out and throw them onto Jeddah and try and hopefully get another win or in the sprint as well. But I'm quite looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Well done on the third place in any case, Viper. First across the line, but third on the podium isn't a bad result at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great. Thank you for the commentary and see you all later.
Thanks, Viper. Appreciate it. So that is it in terms of this week's events here at Mexico City at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit here around a wonderful, wonderful venue. We've had Ben Roberts take his second race win of the season with Shortbread and Viper rounding off the podium. Psycho and Josh very close together for fourth and fifth place in the end. Josh getting very close to securing his first podium in Tier 1, but not quite there just yet. But in terms of the action, we'll be back next week for the Jeddah Corniche circuit around Saudi Arabia for rounds 8 and 9 of the season. Round 8 being the sprint race, where of course the points go down from 8 to 1, and the full race at Jeddah after that for round 9. Do tune in, of course, on the Gavra Racing Twitch channel, or if you miss it live, which is unfortunate, then do come and chat with everybody on the Discord and watch the highlights, the full race uploaded onto YouTube. But I'm Jack TM53, your commentator for Tier 1 here at Gavra Racing. Where everybody might be in the big wide world, have a good one and see you at Jeddah next week.